everyone! So before I start my video, I wanted to take a quick second to say thank you so much for everyone for being patient with me. I know that I haven't uploaded a video in about 2 weeks, and the reason why is because I have a lot of schoolwork that needed to be attended to. I also have a few deadlines that are quickly approaching, so I wanted to make sure I don't lose sight of my studies in order to do my channel, but I do tell you I am not going to neglect my channel whatsoever, so thanks for bearing with me, and now we can move on to the video. As the title of my video shows, today we're going to be talking about the transition of moving from the United States to the United Kingdom. So the very first thing that I have had to adjust to is people driving on the left side of the road, and the reason why that affects me is because when it comes time to cross the street, I don't know what side to look at. I know we always say, you know, look both ways, and I do, but it's very disorienting when you're used to looking one way or the other, and then that's flipped, and then you don't know what the hell's going on. And I can't tell you how many times I've almost gotten hit by buses, cars, people on their bikes. Everything, you name it, I've almost gotten hit by it. And I'm telling you, to this day, 5 months that I've been in the UK, I cannot get used to it. So thank God that absolutely everywhere in London, you can look at the road and it'll tell you to look left or look right, so you know which way oncoming traffic is coming. And that has saved me so many times, so I'm really grateful for that. But I also have to say, the cross signs here are very tricky, and say when it's green, you can go. When you see the little man light up in that box, you know it's safe to walk through. Except when the light starts blinking green, so you see the little man and you think, well, it's green, it means I have the right of way. Wrong. The second you start seeing that sucker blink, it's a free-for-all for cars. Cars can just go, and they don't care if you're in the middle of crossing the street. They are going to go. The drivers in London are crazy. Like, I would say even more aggressive than New York drivers, and it is just madness, absolute madness. Now, in their defense, I do realize that there's a lot of tourists in London and they don't know what the hell they're doing, and sometimes they want to jump in the middle of the road just to get that perfect picture of Big Ben or any other landmark. I know it's dumb, but patience, people, patience, because give me that extra second to get on the sidewalk before you start heading towards me, because you're gonna hit me. And honestly, I'm surprised that there aren't more accidents, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one who's had to adjust to, you know, like the crosswalks and, you know, looking for traffic. Anyway, it's a big adjustment, and it's probably been the biggest one for me since I've gotten here. Another thing that we've had to get used to is the currency. So here they use British pounds, or no, I believe it's called sterling pound, whatever it is. It's a lot more costly than American dollars. The dollars here will get you cockadookie, meaning nothing. Our dollar is worth nothing here. I think that right now the exchange rate is like for every dollar you only get 65 cents, or pence as they call them here. And I mean, everything is so expensive here. Groceries, transport, living costs, forget it. It is, if not the most expensive city in Europe, it definitely is high up there, and probably one of the most expensive cities in the world. Like, I've lived in New York City. I know how much went to rent, utilities, transport, all of that fun stuff. Here, forget it. It's, if not twice as much, it's pretty high up there. And then what your pound gets you is not a lot, man. I have stopped going to the grocery store and buying some of the things that I absolutely love just because I've become stingy, and I refuse to pay, I don't know, it's like £5 for my favorite cereal, which would be almost 10 US dollars. It's insane, it's insane. And I know that I shouldn't be converting or comparing, because honestly it's comparing apples to oranges, but holy Jesus, I honestly don't know how these people live. But yeah, that's definitely something to adjust to. And I have to say their currency is kind of funny, because, like, you know our dollars, right? Well, pounds are much shorter in length and then the width is much bigger. It's like fake money. That's the only way that I can describe it. It honestly looks like fake money. Although it's very easy to tell what note is what, the coins are really difficult to manage for me because they have a whole bunch more than we do. Say they have the 1 pence coin, 2 pence coin, 5 pence, 10 pence, 50, 20, and a £1 coin. I know that sounds like a whole lot, and it really is. And then the funny part is that, say the 2 pence coin is bigger than the £1 coin, so you think, oh, well, the bigger ones have more value. Nope, nope, not true. And honestly, whenever I have change and I'm paying somewhere, I'm always like, wait, which one's which? Okay, here. It is so confusing. Anyone from the States and probably some other places too might have this rule of thumb. But you know how they say righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? In the UK, that's out the window. My doors, in my flat, when I come in, and also the front door, I put my key in and I think, okay, well, if I want to open it, I'm going to open to the left. Wrong. I can't tell you how many times I've made the mistake of not locking my front door properly because I would think, okay, well, if I want to lock it, I'm going to put it to the right. If I'm going to unlock it, to the left. No, 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 no. Like I said, I don't know if it's everywhere, but definitely my doors are completely reversed from the States. So for me to lock my door, I have to turn it to the left. For me to unlock the door, I have to turn it to the right. I've also noticed that this is true for the faucet handles in our sinks. If you want to open if you want to let the water flow, you have to open it to the right, and if you close it, you do it to the left. Well, I constantly forget as I'm like washing my hands, and then I turn it all the way to the right thinking that it's gonna close up, and splash! Water everywhere. It gets me all the freaking time. Another thing that I did not mind at all when moving to the UK was the amazing accents that you will encounter here. I know that in English, just like any other language, it has its different dialects depending on what country, what region you're in, all that jazz. That is definitely true for the UK. They're just all over the place and they're really, really cool. But with that said, there are sometimes that it's very difficult to understand what they're saying. One of the ones that I have most difficulty understanding is the Geordie accent, I believe. It's like what the people in Northern England, Newcastle area, Sunderland maybe, I think too. But they're all really different. They're all really cool. There's so many of them too. And with that also comes a lot of their lingo that's specific to whatever accent that they have. And I have to say, I probably learn a different word maybe every week. And some of these words are just so peculiar that they sound like they might mean one thing, but they mean something completely different, and I just don't know where they get their words, but oh my god, it's hilarious. So I'll give you an example. Just the other day in school, for some reason my pencil didn't have an eraser. So I go up to my peer and I'm like, hey, can I just borrow your eraser? And she's like, eraser? What's that? And I'm like, you know, eraser to erase stuff? And she's like, do you mean a rubber? And with me being 12, I'm like, that means something different to us. And, you know, we had a good laugh on that. But there's also like whole bunch of words that you just hear them and you're like, what the heck is that? What does that even mean? For example, the word knackered means being very tired. The word gutted is like being disappointed or upset or saddened. And there's just a bajillion of them out there. I had a very embarrassing experience with one in particular, and here a lot of people rock fanny packs. And I will preface this, if any British people are watching and they are offended, I do apologize. It's just that in the US, this word in particular does not mean the same thing as it does here, and that word is fanny. For us, fanny doesn't mean anything. So when I saw someone with a fanny pack, I was mentioning it to someone and they're like, "Oh no, Rachel, you don't say that word." And they're just all like embarrassed. And I'm like, "What? What do you call it then?" And they're like, "Bum bag." And I'm like, "Bum bag?" They're like, "Yeah, because fanny means a woman's private." And oh my God, I was so embarrassed. But hey, you know, it's a learning experience. I get asked a lot by people how the food is out here. And I have to say that it is amazing. Whoever said that British food is bland and tasteless was absolutely wrong. I have not had not one bad experience while we've been living in the UK. The food is different. I will say that. It is different. They use different seasonings, but I even have to say, like, even with being American, I'm also Hispanic, and you can't compare Hispanic food to regular American food to British food. We use so many more seasonings, and our food is very, very flavorful. So yeah, it is an adjustment when you come out to the UK. Even if you're not Hispanic, there's gonna be difference, but it's still really, really good. London is so diverse. They have so many mixes and hodgepodges and little, you know, buckets of people all over the place, and you get to try so many amazing dishes from all over the world that there is something for everyone out here. I, again, have not had any complaints about the food. It is really, really delicious, and I have nothing bad to say about that. Now, the transition for my daughter has been so much easier than ours. She is just at an age where she's very adaptable, and you can throw her in any scenario and she's gonna be perfectly fine. I have to say, she has just been able to mix in with absolutely everyone. She has so many friends. She's quite popular in her nursery, and I think it's because she's so assertive and, you know, very confident in herself, which a lot of the British children aren't. From what I've noticed, they're very quiet, they're very reserved, and here comes the, you know, rowdy American, and that's definitely true for Zoe. She is such a hoot, and I have to say that everywhere she goes, everyone's just fascinated by her. So I think that she's doing pretty well, considering that she's up and moved to a different country altogether. One thing she absolutely loves is the fact that there's so much green space out here, and I know that we didn't have a problem with that when we lived in Florida, but because it's so uncomfortably hot sometimes, we don't really go out for too long, and once we're in AC, we just don't want to go out. Now, here, even though it's much colder than it is back home, it's really comfortable for you to go out and spend 2 hours in a park. It feels really great. So no complaints on that area. She does miss the sunshine sometimes because she loves to rock her sunglasses, but unfortunately we don't get a lot of sunlight here and it's constantly raining. But give her a Peppa Pig umbrella and she's good to go. She is as happy as can be, and honestly, she has done so well with this transition. You know, she's super, super happy. My husband and I, on the other hand, not that we had a very hard time adjusting by any means, even with the little nuances, we've been perfectly fine. I would say that the hardest part of all for both of us was leaving our family behind. Our family is massive and they're all over the place, very close in Florida. So we also have some family members in New York and we visit them as much as we can, but still, you know, with being so big and having everyone in one place, it's so convenient because, you know, on the weekends you go out with your family. He hangs out with his cousins and friends all the time and plays sports. I have my cousins, I have my sisters, my girlfriends and all that. And it does get a little bit lonely out here, but thank God for stuff like Skype and social media where you can constantly be in contact with them and it feels as though you're right there with them. It does get really lonely and sad when you think, oh, everyone's together, everyone's having fun, or I really miss this person, I can't see them. But you know what? We stay in touch as much as we can, and I thought it would be a lot more difficult Don't get me wrong, there are days where I'm just like, oh my god, I miss my mom, and I miss her cooking, and my husband feels the same way about his parents and his brother because they're like super, super close, as well as all of his cousins. So yeah, I mean, it is to be expected when you're thousands of miles away from your family, but it's not as hard as I thought it would be. And I think I can speak for all of us, and we do miss everyone, but it hasn't been too difficult to where it's unbearable. So in case not everyone knows, my husband is a sports fanatic, and it's bred in his family. So coming to the UK, they have completely different sports. So, you know, here, football is what we know as soccer, and it is probably the biggest sport that they have. He's gotten very much into it, but there's so many different teams, and it's like rivalries, and you know, some places you can't even walk in with a team jersey because they're like, oh no, you know, that might start a fight. So that's really cool to see, and I mean, well, cool depending on what area you're at and you know what bar lets you in or whatever. But yeah, that's definitely different from what we have in the States. And they also have a lot of other sports that honestly we have tried to get into and we just can't. We don't understand. Probably the biggest one, cricket. Holy crap, it is confusing. I thought it was going to be kind of like baseball. No, I was completely wrong, so I've given up. But yeah, sports are quite different. They have a huge following out here, and they're all very interesting to watch, but quite difficult to understand, for me anyway. Okay guys, I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. I really do hope that you enjoyed all the information I've given you about our transition. If you have any questions or you're curious, go ahead and leave some questions down below in the comments section, and I will do my best to answer them and maybe do some research if you are curious about how things work in the UK. With that said, do not forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as I have fun upcoming material, and I will see you guys next time.